Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings, safety and warmth, or cool, depending on where you are in the United States this evening. And welcome to our 44th CavanKerry Press virtual reading. We are on our way to virtual reading number 50 by this time next year, and it has just been such a blessing to help usher in every virtual release, every new author. And we've had so many voices come through. So if you are unfamiliar with all of our virtual readings in the past, in the chat, you will see some links on where to follow us on socials, especially on YouTube, so you can see our entire catalog. And welcome to our 10/7 book launch of Marina Carrera's Dead Things and Where to Put Them. Our books have such velvety covers. They have wonderful French flaps that could also double as bookmarks. Please do yourself the honor and the favor of purchasing this book for you. Purchase one for yourself and one for your sister. Everyone gets a really nice picture in the front here, so please do that. Um, I am Dimitri Reyes, the Marketing and Communications Director here, and I will be the MC and host for the evening. Throughout the evening, please use the chat box to throw any love, throw some hearts, throw some fire emojis, and if anyone says some fire lines, because there will be fire lines of prose and poetry, put that down in the chat. Also, at the end, we will be having a Q&A conversation. It's kind of like after the readings when everyone goes to the bars and the cafes, and that's where the real teaching, that's where the real church opens up, and we'll just have an exchange of love and words. So if you want to be a part of that conversation, please put any questions down in the chat for Roberto Carlos Garcia, Angelique Zobitz, or Marina Carreira. The way this evening is going to work, we have three readers, two of them that are guests of the launch for Marina Carreira. So first, Angelique Zobitz is going to go, then Roberto Carlos Garcia, and then Marina Carrera will read from her awesome new collection, which it's even hot to the touch because it's so new, just off the press. But before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to our executive director, Gabriel Cleveland, for a message from the press and a land acknowledgement.
Right. Thank you so much, Dimitri. And I mean, it's you're a tough act to follow because you're so dynamic. Anyway, my name is Gabriel Cleveland, and I am the executive director and managing editor for CavanKerry Press. I'm a man with pinkish white skin, with long, wavy, dark blonde hair. I have a short, reddish chin strap beard and a mustache. I'm wearing rounded rectangular glasses with dark gray plastic frames and a reddish tint in front of my blue eyes, and a heather green shirt with a Shirley Chisholm quote on it. Um, Tonight, we join arts organizations across the country in celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, which honors the voices, stories, and traditions of Hispanic and Latine communities. At CavanKerry Press, we recognize the power of literature to preserve culture, confront inequities, and inspire connection. Especially in this moment when anti-immigration sentiment and the ongoing harms of ICE enforcement weigh heavily on our communities, it is essential to uplift and support Latine writers whose work continues to enrich our literary landscape and affirm our shared humanity. Additionally, we want to take a moment to acknowledge that the land we occupy in Bergen County, New Jersey, belongs to the Munsee Lenape people. We honor their history and assert that we cannot function in our work as arts activists, nor offer a safe space for all writers without understanding the struggle for Indigenous rights. We have added to the chat a map of native lands for you to identify which land you occupy, and also links to a few resources for you to learn more and/or offer your support. And finally, before we begin tonight's reading, we want to recognize that this gathering falls on the anniversary of October 7th, 2023, marking 2 years since the attack on Israel by Hamas and the escalation of Israel's ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people, culture, and land. We hold close the memory of those lost and the lives still at risk, and we extend that care to the people of Sudan and the Congo, where humanitarian crises continue to unfold. As poets and members of a global arts community, we cannot look away from the continued loss of life and displacement across these regions. The grief of one people is bound to the grief of another, and their liberation is bound to ours. We hold space tonight for every family enduring war, occupation, and silence. As we gather in art and community, we affirm that none of us are free until all of us are free, and that the work of literature is and has always been an act of remembering, witnessing, and care. With that said, I will hand it back to our marketing and communications director, Dimitri Reyes, to introduce tonight's readers. Thank you.
And thank you, Gabe. You know, as a not only as an independent press, but for us who have been working here, Gabe and I for about 6 and 7 years now, we really mean what we say when we want work that always explores the emotional and psychological landscapes of everyday life. And that means we are also impacted by the voices we receive both from our press and outside of our press also. So from the bottom of our hearts, Tamada and for the social media coordinator, myself as the marketing communications director, and Gabe as the executive director here, we do strive to always stay and maintain being allies for those in our community. So we greatly appreciate you for all being here with us tonight. And with that being said, I'm ready to introduce the fire, the extraordinary Angelique Zobitz, she, her, who writes from the lineage of Black womanix, resilience, and lyrical reclamation. Her debut full-length collection, Seraphim by CavanKerry Press 2024, explores Black joy as communal resistance and was a finalist for the 2023 Jake Adam York Prize and a semifinalist for the 2022 Philip Levine Prize. She's also a chapbook author, Burn Down Your House, Milk and Cake Press 2021, A Whiteout Erasure of Madeleine L. Engel's Marriage, and Love Letters to the Revolution, American Poetry Journal 2020. Her work has earned finalist spots for the 2022 St. Lawrence, Tupelo, and Georgia Poetry Prizes, plus nods for Best of the Net, Best New Poets, and Pushcart Prize. Her poems appear in Obsidian, Literature and Arts in the African Diaspora, The Journal, Sugar House Review, About Place, and many others. She holds a BA in English for creative writing from the University of Illinois at Chicago and has served as poetry editor at The Night Heron Barks and ran off with the Star Bassoon and contributing editor at Cave Wall. Everyone, please welcome Angelique Zobitz.
Hey everyone. Happy to be here with you this evening to celebrate Marina's work, did things, and where to put them. I truly am ecstatic to be here as a CavanKerry Press author, but as a admirer of Marina's work. And before I get into anything of mine, one thing I wanted to kind of shout out about her work is that when I first read this manuscript, there was just this electric hum of recognition. And I felt like the same voltage that I felt in my own Seraphim was present in hers. And I think both of our books speak from the threshold of between mourning and motherhood, between myth and memory, between body and spirit. And I think both of the books are kind of acts of reclamation, of language, of ancestry, of womanhood, of the right to rage, of praise, and the ability to grieve out loud, which I think all of these things are things that are very prevalent and in the moment right now as well. Well, I wrote towards like this burning, the idea that angels who refuse to be silent, women who find holiness and survival, the sacred beauty and perfection. Marina's book walks that same fire line, tracing how loss and labor and inheritance kind of like help remake us. And I thought her book really hold the dead close without embalming them. They breathe, they live, they're in the backyard rabbit, they're in the grandmother's kitchen. She maps that tender violence of life continuing and how grief becomes ritual and how love endures in translation. So I'm really excited to be here because I think there's just so much beauty and so much that we can learn from reading this book. I have 4 4 short poems that I will read from Seraphim, and one that I've recently completed that I feel very much will help close out my section and lead into Marina's. So I start first with this poem that was actually the lead-in poem from Seraphim, called Sister Seraphim, Inextinguishable Light, because it's very much about a community finding joy, and not being silenced, even when others may prefer that of us. So, Sister Seraphim, Inextinguishable Light. They dancing and singing tonight. Black Barbies backlit by gas station fluorescents, stunning, singing, holy, holy, holy. Their loud praises rattling my window, syncopated steps, wings out, rhythm on, radiant, with the backbeat unbroken, backs unbroken, unfettered and unbothered in 8 and 16 time. This very night, there before me is an angel, and I saw her drop it low, all while cars pull in and out, top off or fill up at the pumps. I can relate to being half empty and thirsting to be full. She, her, they blazing. This could be worship, loud and exuberant as every light leached club where I once got hot and sweaty to reggae, rubbed underneath somebody as vigorously as kindling before catching fire. It could be easy to forget how good adoration feels. I can't forget what good feels like paradise. They so flame, and I see it. It could be heaven, this lot of half-level, bumpy concrete, glittering full, jeweled with bottle shards and wrapping paper confetti. They could burn it all down, but glory, they invite us to join the chorus. So I think one of the things that I love the most about Marina's book was that it teaches us that holiness isn't distant, it's local. Similar to in Sister Seraphim, it hums in our grocery stores, glows in Newark rain, lingers in the body long after pain. And so this next poem honors inheritance, so what we make when we refuse silence. And this is called Full Throated. And it's one of my more fiery poems, which I love. I usually do lots of introspective and celebratory, but this one is bitch. And I love that about it. So I'm going to read that one. Full Throated. You must be thinking of my grandma's people, must have me confused with someone else. I see the resemblance, but I'm not the one. Won't be compelled to cradle every word on my tongue behind the caging of my teeth, only birthing black-ass bone-mock babies for your pleasure. Bite my tongue. I've heard hold your peace and request that I stay calm and maintain the illusion of peace. Recall, we're all happy if we're quiet. Bitch, please. My people trapped sharp words in the esophagus, dulled them down on the concrete slabs of solitary confinement, sacrificed in silence while carving in the throat. I was here, bold, subversive graffiti scrawled in the night. The fumes of their words are why my throat is dry from how often I refuse to choke, gag, reflex, fix my mouth. If you only knew what I want to say when you utter, temper your temper, as if a soft word makes palatable misery, as if tongue separates the bitter from sweet, as if it is my party trick to swallow back the bitter pit, as if tying my anger into knots like a cherry stem. Whew, ma'am, bless. I am not my grandma's child. That generation put up with what they had to. I never learned how to sweet and swallow bad produce, to fix my lips for long, never rouged them red in replacement of bloodlust. I too want words, soft on skin, soft on psyche, lapping softly in my inner ear, revolutionary love words like you matter. Until then, I let sing. every word. Um, Again, I think fairly relevant right now, especially from those of us who are get hyphenated American. And so I've been definitely in that moment, especially living in Chicago, where seeing lots of things happening in the neighborhoods I grew up in and I live in today. Both of our books talk about ask really what happens when women are told to be miracles but not human, to glow without burning, to forgive without fury. And this next poem speaks to that impossible demand. And I actually wrote it when my daughter was fairly young, because there's this tension and this dichotomy to be all things for people, to be magical. In fact, I'll look at it through the lens of like Black girl magic, but also not to be too much or too extraordinary or too powerful, because then you become a target. And so this poem it speaks to that demand, and it's for every witch or saint or mother, whoever, or child, whoever dared to disobey. And it is called "This Country Will Require You to Be Magical, Then Attempt to Burn You for Being a Witch." Girl child, power in waiting, revolution. This world will try to cleave you in half. Reach inside, lay waste, leave you a bloody mess of seed, pulp, carved out meat. Pick your bones, attempt to harness your sweet for a world full of eager carrion birds. Transfigurate, flower, fruit, fire, unfurl an inferno, hurling coils down your devil back. Scorch them with your flame tongue. Remind them you predate evangelism. Leave them ashes. Burn them down. Teach them our bodies are best left alone. And then this last one, before I go into the one that's not in Seraphim, this is called "These Are the Mysteries of My Faith." I'm not sure if you can tell by the number of religious imageries that proliferate in here in the symbols, but I obviously grew up Catholic, so it kind of permeates the interiors of my work and how I look through things. But these are the mysteries of my faith. And this, I think, really speaks to the heart of asking what we do with what all we've loved and lost, and showing how care is a form of resurrection. So, 1, Christ has died. Woman is not impervious to Chicago cold. The vintage walk-ups with door jams that lean gap teeth against the warped floors necessitate the towel rolled tight as a blunt forced up against the bottom of the door. On the windows, the plastic taped around the seals to catch and blow back that draft is the same tarp that can restrain and hide a body. Yes, I think it. Every time I call the landlord and he pulls his ace card excuses, swears he can't do nothing. The heat is as high as it can go unless I raise the rent. We're so accustomed to living on the edge. We bring out the contraband and grit. "The fuck you mean?" the lease say, and roll out the space heater from the closet. Share the heated blanket we know better than to sleep with. We learn to turn the stove's oven on. Let that door hang open wide to heat the house corners. We know how to calculate the risk. It'll either give us release or burn us to the ground. 2, Christ is risen. Big Ma knew how to make a biscuit, light as a cloud, so silky and butter laden it disintegrates like carnival spun sugar on your tongue. No one could measure love without the cup the way she did. Her arthritis knotted fingers, turning a few handfuls of flour, adding a dash of baking soda, a pinch of salt, a few lumps of cold butter. A pour of chilled buttermilk was just enough to get knuckled under and transformed into heaven. She swore that the break between dusk and dawn was when the best batch was made. So she woke early, treated every biscuit as if souffle, each hot mouthful a perfect alleluia. Praise her name. 3. Christ will come again. Here's my secret. My fingers aren't shaped for letting go of what is precious to me. So when I say, I just want to be loved like this, understand that I mean I want you to take my pain away. It means I'm telling you my body is a dry well whimpering after the next rainfall. That sometimes I just want to be consoled with familiar comforts, a 3-piece wing fried hard, lemon pepper seasoning, or mild sauce on everything. My fingers stained sticky red with tang and grease. But I'm so accustomed to the suffering that one night I stood on the curb in the midst of Chicago's bitter winter, crying without cease or pride for every inch of you. And um, this last one here is new. I'm working on a manuscript called How to Wreck a Self Thing. And it is about reclamation and grief. And this last one is called All We Hope to See of the Divine. All we hope to see of the divine is some small flicker in the dark, the porch light left burning, the glint of minnows in moonlit water, a hand resting gently on the back of our necks. I write to you, saints, gods, ghosts, whatever tattered form remain. Tell me this ache is not wasted, that someone keeps the ledger of every bit of our pain and gentleness. Saints of scraped knees and worn door frames, patron of mothers still waiting at windows, I offer you this quiet grief, these pot-bellied prayers I have no names for. Ghosts of the ones I loved, stay a little longer. I want to gather what remains, your laughter in the corners, the scent of rain where you once slept. And you, God, whatever shape you wear today, lover, mother, absence, wind in the corn, come down and sit with me. Let me press my head to your lap. For once, not needing answers, only the mercy of being seen. That's all I want, to be known, to be held, to believe that somewhere, someone is keeping the light on.
Ooh, Angelique, that was beautiful. Someone's keeping the light on. We're going to talk about being each other's light in a time like this, definitely. Angelique, thank you so much always for bringing us to Poetry Church with your work. Uh, Also, it was amiss to me. We forgot the visual descriptions. So this is the Marketing and Communications Director, Dimitri Reyes, tuning in. I have really nice and sweet caramel skin. I have a bushy beard, hair right under my earlobes, and I'm wearing brown glasses and black glasses that matches my black t-shirt. And I have Dead Things and Where to Put Them right next to me. So we'll have a very nice link in the chat box if you haven't purchased your copy yet. Angelique, visual description real quick.
Visual description, a brown skinned Black woman, big red kinky hair, wearing red lips and a gray cardigan.
Beautiful.
Apologies, everyone.
No, no worries. I'll zoom you out now and then you'll come back in for the Q&A. But again, Angelique, thank you so much. All right, all right, all right. So now, Roberto Carlos. By the way, tell me in the chat if you all are still here, please. Give me a thumbs up, some claps, some reactions, just something. That is our first of 3 readers, and we are moving forward. I love to see it. Thank you all so much for the activity in the chat thus far. Now, my brother, my hermano, Roberto Carlos Garcia, him is Associate Professor of English at Union College of Union County, New Jersey. He writes poetry and prose about the Afro-Latinx and Afro-diasporic experience. His work has been published widely in places such as Poetry Magazine, NACLA, Poets and Writers, The Root, and others. Garcia is a 2023 New Jersey State Council of the Arts Poetry Fellow and the author of 5 books, 4 poetry collections, Melancholia, Black Maybe, an Afro Lyric, elegies, What Can I Tell You, selected poems, and one essay collection, Traveling Freely. Curbstone Books, Northwestern University Press in 2024. Garcia is the founder of Get Fresh Books Publishing, a literary nonprofit. Everyone, here he is.
Yo, that's funny. What's up? Thank you so much. Congratulations, Marina. Shout out to you and your wonderful, necessary, and the type of work that I love is work that makes it plain. And you always make it plain, the battle we're fighting. Angelique, what a revelation. It is a not only an honor, but a distinct pleasure to hear your work. And yeah, I'm gonna get acquainted with those books for sure. Um, I have very little to say except that I'm a brown Afro-Caribbean. I'm wearing a royal blue New York Knicks hat because it's our year. I got glasses on. I have a beard, and I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm going to, in the spirit of a new book, I'm gonna read new shit. Like this is just new shit. Um, Maybe some people have seen the work because we whatchamacallit. I'm gonna start the timer and I'm gonna shut up because I don't like talking a lot when I read. So here we go. This poem is called White Rabbit Fever Dream, and a small excerpt of this poem was published. Yeah, here we go. White Rabbit Fever Dream after Amy Césaire. Midnight swims in a cup of rum, and the mockingbird outside sings like a rooster at daybreak. I'm not trying to sleep. I'm stuck on this couch dreaming of fishing boats built from splinters by men more often hungry than full, and sea dragons devouring our imaginations, ghostly slavers haunting a noisy 3 a.m., the taste of trouble's rust-colored clouds on my head, clicker in hand, foolishness and drinks for company. Is it hunger? Is it love? Is it masochism that opens my mouth as the TV host says? Other uses for batons include protest crowd control. And the cop swings and hits and swings and hits. And look at how it's phallic. And the badge is like balls. Big permission. Riot gear. Hats and bats. Cops and corporate payrolls. We're fed dehumanization and salivate in anticipation, terrorized by high-res flat-screen avatars. I sleep in its blue light. What is going on? Do you know? She visits in the middle of the night. Even drunk, asleep, I feel the puffs of her breath, a smell like thirst against my waking ear. We sit across from each other in a tin roof shack. A man is here, and he stares at us. He doesn't know it's a dream. She says, guerrilleros don't start out bad, but desperate to change the world, they become what they hate. She grabs my hand. We fall from the sky onto a dirt road. On both sides, for as far as I can see, thrown about like rags. Dead men, women, and children, mixed in with garbage, posed alongside the bullets and machetes that killed them. She turns to me. There are thousands like this, all over. Tell people, she says, and goes off along the road. Still falling between the lines of the lies into a canoe. Did you know the presence of fear produces a higher energy input to the reptile brain? My therapist, if I had a therapist, would tell me that television commercials, the news, and payday might as well be horror movies inducing their own kinds of panic and dread. Jingles make me at attention. Like you, I'm trapped. The magic works its magic. In our top story tonight, the hair and makeup, the declarative imperative phrasing, 15 to 20 commercials per hour. Just do it. Think different. Open happiness. Fuck my life. My therapist would say anger comes from feeling a lack of control. Anger underlies anxiety. Fear underlies anger. Fear says, avoid this. Anger says, neutralize it. Turn off the TV, the radio, the laptop. the phone. Eat plump grapes. Drink wine paired with succulent ham. For the reptile brain, more and more. The reptile brain has no ferocity. It simply fights coldly for survival. What is happening? Do you know? I cannot move. I cannot move. I cannot move. I cannot move. Shh. Sleep, says the flat box with perfect resolution and color dynamics. You're in good hands, and like a good neighbor, we're on your side. Look at me, it says. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. And if you go chasing rabbits and you know you're going to fall, tell them a hookah smoking caterpillar has given you the call. You don't want to enter the Heart and Soul Museum. But now that I've told you, you want to enter, don't you? It's not a question. It's an atrium full of doors that lead to walls. Sorry, nothing on display. But you can hear if you have ears to hear. Just go up to that one. Cement wall of roses and vines. Our hearts thump loudly and our souls sing to the beat back there, beyond the pikes and briar patches, where the velvet rope ends and the ceiling is collapsing. The door is fierce and resplendent. I can't remember what it's made of or how to open it, but we're on the other side of it, me and you. That concludes our tour for today. Please accept this talisman to ward off the shadow. By the way, what is happening? Do you know? And now, a very important public service announcement to the little white colonizer living rent-free in my mind, your mind, their minds, like a snuggly, fluffy little white rabbit. No one is white. You are not white. You are addicted. Whiteness is a narcotic. You feel good when you feel white, when you feel successful, when you feel revisionist history educated, when you make purchases, when you complain about taxes, when you say, dude, when you say, I, me, mine, my country, you feel good when you feel white, when you believe blank makes you white. When you say, races, run, baby, run. You are not white. No one is white. You are addicted. Whiteness is a narcotic. You are not white. You are afraid. If you are not white, you are not special. If you are not special, you can live and die like me. No one is white. Whiteness is a narcotic. You are addicted. You are afraid. You feel good. You are not 10 feet tall. And all it is a colonization of our minds. Decolonization is always a violent phenomenon. Violence happens along a center line, frontal or rear. Step one is to move off the line of attack to the left or the right. Attacks can be linear, a straight punch. Your response should be circular. Attacks can also be circular, a hook punch. Your response should be linear. Joints only bend one way. Every emotion straightens or bends an elbow, a knee. A joint can only go so far. Learn how far and push it past that point. The soft parts are vulnerable to fingertips. Take your hand, hold it vertically across your Adam's apple. Apply pressure. See? A quick strike to the throat could kill. The problem is doubt and hesitation. Destruction works best when instantaneous, when the mind is left out of it. The spirit, moving outside of time and space. See? My point is this. Now that you know how to harm a body, feed your head. Feed your head. What is happening? Do you know? I can't quiet. Because it's a world of dew, and within every dewdrop, a world of struggle. I sit cross-legged, meditating in the hip of a rose. Images of sinkholes swallowing suburbia breaks the black of concentration. Is there such a thing as a perfume hangover? And what of red? Can there be too much? Meditation is hard. Quieting the spirit and appeasing the soul is hard. I wish poems were fire, so books would burn when you open them. You'd have to read quickly, memorize, think nothing, and focus. I hear focus is good for you. I sit cross-legged watching a movie reel in my head. My breath, a hurricane. Shut it off. Someone. Shut it off. Leave the body. Sleeping in grass and dew at dawn, pretending to be a bird or an earthworm, and praying to join the animal song. Humans left all fours so long ago. It's animals that know the rhythm and melody of life everlasting as space dust, leaping firmament to cosmos, and pop like bubbles. Love is questions, not answers. Love is not tidy, but the body alone like two hands, one in daylight, another in night sky, never touching, wants and wants a cheap thrill. Slow burns. A plate of arroz con pollo. A kill. Love is my physical material, the body my abstraction, my pig with wings, my snowball resting frostily in hell. If a friend appears in one of my dreams, the next day I call and ask, did I appear in hers? On my side, topless in a pair of scant black underwear. Listen, I want to know. Are we piercing the veil? The name is the outward appearance. The thing named is the inner meaning. Don't you want to know? Sing the body. Cry the body. First teacher. Feast day. Torment. And recognize its collapsing boundaries guarded by time. I want to tell you everything at once. There's no time. All these dreams, a cocoon around my body. And after a while, I'll wake so light or hungover and fall again. One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small. What's happening? Do you know? We don't say to the earth, someone will probably love you. We don't say to our lover, someone will probably love you. We don't say to our children, someone will probably love you. We comet in the sky this shit. We rainbow after the rain this shit. We wink and sip and smile and peck on the cheek our way through this shit. That smell that rises from the hot ground after summer rain. That's how I knew I'm unlovable. Because no one loves it like me, obsessively. I learned my love is a spillway flooding the peaks and valleys of anyone in my path. You. You are who I love, and love, and love, and love. Not me. Never me. Anybody could love somebody because everybody is always saying they love everybody, but nobody does because do you truly love yourself? Or are you just afraid of dying alone? You. You are who I love. Never me. It should be me. And so I asked you, are you happy? Little white rabbit, fluffy and fat, with pink red eyes, running through the clover and dandelion field of my mind. I glimpse you, can't catch you, and you shit everywhere, saying things like, be the best, make the most money, hold power over them, take all the bootstraps, and God bless America. I'm looking for myself, my essential nature, for what is mine. But there are more of me looking for me too. But we are also looking for you, white rabbit. But I have a flamethrower. I'll burn myself to ash. Thank you. Thank you.
What do you want me to say, Roberto?
We
What do you want
good.
me to do after that?
Thank you. We good. It's
Uh,
time for Marina.
yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. This love fest continues. So much love for you, Roberto. Thank you for being with us. You know who you are. You know who you are. And everyone loved it. I appreciate you. I'll zoom you back in very shortly. Thank you. Okay. And now for a featured presentation. I will now welcome Marina Carreira, she, they, who is a queer Luso-American poet and artist from Newark, New Jersey, a Pushcart Prize nominee and 2024 Luso-American Fellow in the Disquiet Literary Program. Carreira is the author of Descarada. Oh my God, I'm sorry, it's getting late. Marina, you're going to teach me right now. Come on here, because I actually messed this up during the Collingswood Book Festival. You're going to help me.
Desgraçada.
Digrestada. All right, I'm getting there. Bottle Cap Press 2023, Tantu Tantu, CavanKerry Press 2022, Save the Bathwater, Get Fresh Books 2018, and I Sing to That Bird Knowing It Won't Sing Back, Finishing Line Press 2017. She has exhibited her art at the Newark Museum, Morris Museum, Artfront Galleries, and Monmouth University Center for the Arts, among others. Carreira works in higher education and teaches women and gender studies at Kane University. Find her on Instagram at Save the Bathwater. Everyone, please welcome and give a round of applause. Make sure if you're in an apartment, those people under you can hear you. Marina Carreira.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, CavanKerry, and especially thank you to Angelique and Roberto. You remind me why we write, and you remind me why I stay alive. And I want to thank everyone that's here today to celebrate not just my work, but Roberto and Angelique's and your own work, right? The work that we all do here to keep each other in community and in sanity during insanity. So I am a queer white Portuguese American woman with short platinum blonde hair. I have a septum ring and pink lipstick. I'm wearing a purple dress with stripes that reminds me of something my grandmother would wear. And before I get into my work, I just want to offer a content warning for gender-based violence, mentions of sexual assault, loss, death, divorce, and anything that can trigger folks. Thank you again to everyone for being here. This book was written during the pandemic, during a time of a lot of loss. I lost my grandmother. I lost friends. I kind of lost myself there for a while. I was in the middle of a divorce, and it was all happening, and it's still all happening. So I'm glad we're here in community today to support each other and to love each other and to read poems together. To the mother rabbit in my backyard. The crow came and swooped the first of your litter. You chased it across the yard until the fence let you no further. When it returned, I ran out and hollered, arms wild, but its talons were already through the second kit's ribs. You hopped to the last one, its tiny neck in a pool of burgundy. I prayed it all a bad dream, waited for bunnies to spring up like crocuses, mouths ready for green and air. But the empty, trimmed grass displayed our loss, your offspring, my naivete. Afterward, you sat in mourning in the coldest rain in April, still except for the occasional ear twitch. Chaos cut through every blade, and all I did was watch your grief from my window. How do you tell a child death comes quick? You don't. You draw the shades, serve up eggs and toast for breakfast, tell her to chew every bite extra slow. O que não mata engorda, which is Portuguese for what doesn't kill you makes you fatter. Raised on olive trees and their switches, 7 siblings, Salazar, East Newark in the 70s, you wouldn't listen to doctors say, wash your hands several times a day, expectorate into your elbow. You'd scoff, blow your nose with yesterday's tissue, tell them only animals sneeze on themselves. Today, an older man at the market said, step back 6 feet, please, while he grabbed too much bread for 2. A tired woman with a face mask sliced the chorizo like a sad violinist. What do you see from your sealed hospital window besides an ocean you don't bathe in, a sun that hasn't cloaked your bones in weeks? Here I conjure you up, what I've left of your wisdom to get me through while my partner watches videos on food preservation. This is how we survive, she says. We can store cheese in salt for months. Ai, he would mutter. O fim do mundo, the end of the world. Ouve lá, she would ask. Já comeste? The forest for the trees. Instead, you took a sharp left and walked alongside hungry crickets. You did not get your arm pulled, your back crushed against pine, but ended up in the next town over, where a woman who looked like Ava offered you pão quente e café, while she prepared meals for her sons who'd be up soon to tend the graves. His hand did not slice you in half. His breath did not suck air out of your lungs. You thanked Maria and headed home, deliberate and intact. You did not sit under the shower, humming me and the gun, did not paint the pillow with terrible ache. You put on your favorite t-shirt and turned off the lamp. You kissed little sister goodnight, drew a forest in the morning. Ode to the deer on the side of the road as America. Your ears still twitched 2 minutes after the crash, after someone who thought himself superior sped maniacally down a one-way in the dark. How could he have known you'd be there? He who sees himself center of the universe, how could he know you belong to this earth too? That this space is yours as much as his or mine, and really weren't you here first? Isn't this documented biblically, scientifically, historically? By the time we got to you, it was too late. Despite the small pulse of your body, I knew death had come with its heavy boots and bag. Blood poured from your mouth, a tiny creek trickling back to its source. Haplessly, we called the police, as if they would be of any use. The officer shrugged, said he'd call for your removal, insisted you never had a chance given where you wandered, as if the fur and field behind you weren't home, as if your freedom wasn't as precious as his. Prayer to Saint Philomena. A viuva told me, pray to Philomena, that she grant your daughters immunity from every serpent oil sold them on Instagram. You, meek statue on my sill, charged with shielding them from horrors I've imagined twice over before this pandemic began. By a faith older than man's imagination, free them from the sparkly vice this world uses on girls, the one where nothing squeezes through but prescribed gender play, perfumed stationery, mink lashes, red bottoms, diamond-studded bodies, tiny waists, perfect asses. Let this too pass so that I can say, we didn't survive a goddamn plague for you to turn around and think youth is Sephora and TikTok. Your foremothers didn't endure apocalypse after apocalypse for you to be so basic, to believe you are not more than the madness spoon-fed you by the patriarchy. Philomena, child martyr who traded virginity for salvation, knowing nothing of either, scourged, drowned, shot, and decapitated by men old enough to be your father. Save all women from the myths that did you in. May the only anchor that weighs us be our beloved's heart. May the only arrows we strike be towards our demons. Every poem has a moon poem, and I had plenty, so this is one of them in the collection. Warm moon. Snowed last night, everything white, warm moon wriggling her big belly across the backyard grass and slick streets, lighting up a March midnight like a friend's teeth after telling me I look better and better each day, less devastated and dedicated to replicating lost parts of myself. Mai said you were never my friend, but she meant it as in you didn't care enough to stick around and not the way I did, as in you were my best friend, my soulmate, the wife no one knew about except the few who joined us 5 years ago in a funky courtroom where we convinced ourselves I do, but didn't. Moon by moon, I wax and wane, find fullness in knowing you were the best thing I never had, my favorite mistake, to the left, all the cliched songs on my sad playlist I listen to as I chew on the lesson folks never want to learn. A person is a story, and stories end, lover to wife to stranger, and today, friend. In the forest at midnight. There is no right hand tugging at the hooked fish of my teenage panty, no left hand a tourniquet on my bluing arm, no spit over the nape of my neck. There is nothing to forget in this forest at midnight. I am a gladdening choir echoing off pines. I am thick red sap sliding down trunks. I am glittery salt over tree needles. I am not a child, but a loose cannon. I am not a survivor, but the quiet after. I am not a body, but something unhanded. Wolf Moon. I'm the one howling at you tonight, howling in sorrow and angst, in vain and solidarity with all other mad women cooped up for too long in their mortgaged houses, in their tired bodies, in their half-lit, half-the-time heads. Snapping at the forced air, snarling every time someone asks about dinner. I've never been more wild in domesticity, baring my teeth at boredom, scratching at walls for release. Oh, to be a cur in the dark embrace of woods, to run miles and miles away from sound and screen, to crown myself with violets after praying, bloody mouth, a headlight in the wind. Blame it on the patriarchy, blame it on the pandemic, blame it on the moon, full and spreading herself rapidly over us as I watch at the window. For fuck's sake, can't women and wolves do that too? Live fat and free and feral without having to die trying. I'm going to read two more poems. Litany for the Surviving, and this is after Audre Lorde. The glimmering eye of a doe greeting the morning with a yawn reminds me of the first time I went fishing. I was 11. It was a Wednesday swaddled in village summer. Elizabeth, Pedro, and I took our jars to the creek, confident we'd soon be proud owners of our very own tadpoles. Before plunging my hand in, I marveled at the sun over the water's surface, a spread of crushed diamonds, fortress we fisted through for baby frogs. I haven't fished since, haven't played by a body of water in years. I take long baths to escape the dry heat of quarantine, the invisible fog of virus, the torrential national tyranny, the impending global genocide. What if we all went fishing by a creek or watched deer make their way across it, praise the audacity of living? What a privilege it is to own this imagination, this safe white skin. How dare I think of summer, streams and fauna when so many have yet to know freedom of such things? When the only thing glimmering is a black screen with breaking news, how dare we survive ourselves? In good God, hell this. And I will end with another moon poem called Buck Moon. There was really not a lot to do during the pandemic at night besides, I think, stare out at the moon and wonder how we were going to survive. So I think that's where all these moon poems came from. But thank you for, again, being here. And this is Buck Moon. We are halfway through summer, the nights growing inch by inch, the hibiscus bloomed. Deer cross Liberty Hall at Orsino Park, antlers hardening around fur, a cell phone shining in the distance. I sit on my stoop, think about work, parties, fast cars, drugs of youth I no longer long for. I'm a dream addict now, high off acrylic and pastel and poems by Mathilde Campillo. I am an ant chirping around the compost of childhood, fertile earth for my city come farm girl fantasies. My own fawns know this glory, this forming, bony and furious, the aftermath of survival. I plan to die by living, and maybe alone, but at the window, facing the orange grove and creek. Thank you.
Marina, I'm so proud of you. I really am. The collection and your work is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And while I'm inviting everyone on, for a bit of like, a peek behind the curtain, when I'm working with our authors and we're co coming up with like who do you feel like reading with for these virtual readings? Like, I didn't even get the question out, and Angelique and Roberto were like your first picks. And I was like, that's amazing. Let's do it. And it's not only like the village and the community that we're creating on these four screens, but the chat has just been lit up all night, right? So just all of these loves and these community people throughout the whole entire literary landscape and community and not literary landscape because there's folks from work and other friends, they're all here too. So it's great to see the transformative nature of work, how it's all different in the way the three of you presented it, but it's also very much the same and it's kind of singing in one voice too, which is super important, and how that's transformative and it brings people together. So just shout outs to the three of you here. Like, I'm awestruck from the evening. So thank you truly, all of you. So at this point, everyone, please, if you have questions, I know you have so much praise and high vibes. Ask your questions in the comments. Myself, Tamara, who is in social media, and then Gabe Cleveland, who you heard earlier, have some questions here, but we definitely want to hear from you and add it into the mix. So we're actually going to start with a question from our executive director, and this is for Marina. Um, I'm continually in awe of how your book opens with a moment of such sadness and brutality in your backyard, but ends in that same yard with care and hope. It is so easy to slip under the waves of despair in this brutal time. Can you talk about what it takes to stay afloat, survive, emerge, and thrive?
I mean, reading with Angelique and Roberto is a good start for sure. And reading their work and the work of so many of my fellow friends and writers and colleagues that are here today, they definitely keep me afloat. But prior to reading tonight, I was with my class and we were actually reading Roberto's work. He has he has an amazing collection of essays, but also one of the essays is toxic masculinity, and we were talking about that. And I, just talking about all these terrible things that are happening in our country and around the world, with students that are conditioned to believe, right, the lies that white supremacy feeds us, right? And to see them challenging these ideas and to see them, thinking, outside the boxes that, they were stuck in or they were pushed in, right? Through, media and through societal conditioning of just, all the things that we were taught. See my students just engage and just say, yes, this is wrong. Yes, we do need to talk about it. And to be so vulnerable with me. I think it's about creating community, right? I think it's about creating safe spaces. I think it's about creating collectives. I think it's about co-laboring with people that are doing the same type of work that you're doing. Interestingly enough, my boss here at King calls heart work, right? So I think it's staying connected with the people that keep you alive. And my students keep me alive My fellow poets keep me alive, my friends, my family, my daughters, my partner, everyone here keeps me alive and keeps me writing and documenting so that our histories will not be lost, right? Our words will not be lost to these generations that hopefully will, turn things around for us.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Marina. Thank you. Um, I think I always love how these conversations kind of go into some amorphous answer of community building, right? And I personally love writing because I think it's an art form that we all have access to. Like we all communicate, we have language, and it's a very going back to Roberto's poem, a reptilian brain kind of art form. We all connect with each other in this way, and without all the distractions in the world, that becomes the easiest way for us to connect. And I think that's why for artists, we always go towards community, right? Community is what really saves us in this process. Like, how many hands, if anyone looks at any acknowledgement section at the back of the book, how many hands and how many eyes are on a collection before it reaches everyone else, right? So I'm curious, Roberto and Angelique, like, what does community also mean to both of you as writers?
Well, I'll start. For me, it's a lifeline, right?
Mm,
And it gives me an opportunity to understand and connect with people who have similar but also different experiences in navigating the world, right? I could never understand what it means to navigate the world in Roberto's body in the same way that he can't, and truly understand what it means to navigate mine, and same for Marina's, right? And so it gives us that opportunity in connecting and in creating community, and in being intentional about making it an inclusive space. We kind of avoid the trap that we, like Roberto's poem, the White Rabbit, of believing in this sense of superiority when you
mhm,
are connected with other individuals and you get to understand the intersections of everyone's lives, and the joys as well as the griefs that are associated with it. And I think that keeps us humane. And when we take that step into understanding and building community with people who are not like ourselves, we also, I think that enables us to be more ethical in how we view the people around us, and it kind of guides our steps and our intentions, right? Like if
mhm,
you understand that you are but a drop in this kind of this cosmic whatever, you want to, however you want to describe it, that each of us has a importance, um, in being here, that each of us brings something of value. And so, like, very similar to Marina, I lead a team of people, and most of them don't actually live in the United States. And
mm,
the one who does is a green card holder. And while we're there for business purposes, I try to cultivate space where we sit down and we talk about how these things impact us. And it helps us remember we're not just cogs in a capitalist system. We are actually people who have value beyond our output. And I think that's extraordinarily important to ground ourselves in. Um, we aren't just cogs in a machine, we are part of a cosmic blanket of incredible, and we have to recognize that I cannot exist without you.
mhm. That's excellent, Angelique. I think one of our collective ancestors, the astrologer Walter Mercado, says we're stars until we become constellations, right? We're all made of the stardust, the star stuff, and we're all a part of that same network,
Yeah.
right? And we're really what keeps us shining. We're what turns that light on, as you did in your last poem, right? So thank you for that. I saw that. I saw what you were doing there. Roberto, what about you?
Mucho, mucho amor. I'm just glad Walter Mercado came into the chat.
I
Like,
had
that's
to
what
bring
I'm
it
talking
in.
about.
I had to bring it in.
You know we're doing something right.
That's homework for everyone that didn't know, by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
drop a link in the chat. Um, one of, especially these days, one of my favorite things about community, and it brought it back, is that community also like it, and I think both you, Angelique and Marina, uh, communicated some version of this. Community teaches you how to fight for other people also, because we can't just assume that you're gonna fight for other members of your community in the same way that you would fight for yourself. You gotta learn how to show up, and community teaches you how to show up so you can do it with the right intention. And these days, that's what I'm trying my best to learn how to do that so I can learn how to fight for people so that when this fade comes up, because that's just what we got to start clapping back. Like, I'm just tired of constantly ducking and weaving. I want to clap back now.
Mm.
I'm just waiting. You waiting for all the opportunities that'll come my way to do that. So one of the things I can appreciate is that we're honest and open and patient with each other. Community can teach you how to show up and fight for the individuals in your community. And that's super important, because now is not the time to go around assuming. We really need to talk to each other right now
Hmm.
and understand that. Yeah, so that's what I got.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting transition. I think we're thinking belong beyond the words of allyship now, and it almost has to be almost like an agitatorship, right? So
Accomplice. We need
um
accomplices.
accomplices,
We
yes.
need people willing to go down with us, and this way
Hmm.
nobody will go down.
Right, right.
You know?
Enough, enough mass and you'll float, right?
Hmm.
Exactly. So I think this is a good transition to a question from Tamara Casey Coleman, who I've mentioned a couple times, who is our social media coordinator, who's doing amazing work on social media. So if you're not aware of our Instagram, please go there. She does these awesome social media campaigns with our authors too. She's just a great teacher, and she's just always smiles and confidence, and even in the face of all this oppression. So for the three of you, how have you, and this is from her, for the three of you, how have you found yourself writing lately? How have the poems come through you in the midst of all of this? So we're talking about we're talking about agitation, we're talking about having accomplices. So what does that mean to you all in the state of writing this new stuff?
All right, I'll start.
Hmm.
So I've been writing quite a bit, and I think Diego was on, and he's aware of this because we recently did a reading together. But
Hmm.
I've been writing so much, both in grief and reclamation. So I'm working on like finishing up two manuscripts right now. One is called Motherless Child, and it's about confronting the experience of both losing my mother a few years ago, but also kind of having this understanding that I'm divorced from a historical motherland and in a country that does not want to claim me. And it's, I'm sure, a feeling that is felt amongst a lot of communities right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
You know what, whether it's your ethnic background or your sexuality or your kind of class-based things, and it's it in combination with the other manuscript, How to Wreck a Soft Thing, which is about reclamation. How do you build something good? How do you build a good life in the midst of horror? um, um, it is it has, I can't say I'm at a place of healing because I'd be lying, and
Hmm.
I'm just not that evolved yet. But it is helping me better understand my relation to this country and come to grips with it,
Yeah.
and is in some ways helping me understand that I don't want or need the approval of this country, and what does
Hmm.
a life look like when I stop
Hmm.
looking for it.
Oof.
um, and that has been that thing that I'm grappling with, but the writing is helping me find that answer.
Yeah. that is such a beautiful explanation. And thank you for mentioning like the intersectionalities. Like there's a lot of intersectionalities that are happening in this Zoom group right now, even not even just who's here, but who I'm actually even seeing on the attendees list, right? So let's talk about it. Just in this room here, we have blackness in this country, Afro-Latinidad, the Luso-Americanness. So if you want to tack that on to your answer of how you've been writing in the midst of all this, Roberto and Marina, that's great.
Well, I mean, as someone who has a loved one and many loved ones that are undocumented right now,
Hmm.
writing, I've been very angry, and very, depressed, I think. And I've been letting myself write through that. Um, Even though I didn't want to do that. That was not my plan with this new work. This new work
Yeah.
was to explore joy, um, and motherhood, and how funny it is to be a queer, weird mom raising two very heteronormative, conservative, girly girls. But you know, because of this tyranny we're living under, right? And it's really I've been writing, and very angrily, and it's been my way to sort of be able to process these feelings without causing any harm to myself or to anyone else, right? And to what I've been doing too is reading a lot. I've been going back to Baldwin, and I've been going back to Toni Morrison. I'm reading The Minister's Assault Regard, and I'm just reading and reading and writing, and just listening to the folks that have something to say, right? The truths, right? The
Mhm.
Angeliques, the Robertos, the folks that are here. I think that's the way that I'm processing and writing. And and it's not that I want to write, I don't want to write angry poems, but you can't, you know, ang if you don't write through it,
Uh-huh.
it festers, right? And we all know what happens with that. So I've just been kind of letting, saying what I need to say, and not speaking about, this idea of I this idea of people being illegal, which no one is illegal on stolen land, number one. But the fact that we are murdering and maiming and disappearing and harming undocumented people, and Black and brown people and queer people and trans people, and funding a genocide, right? All these things, they're not, they impact my writing. I
Mm.
just have to find ways as a white woman with privilege to be able to talk about them, right? And to know how to navigate those conversations as well, so that I am agitating, right? So that I am, doing anti-racist work. I'm doing, pro-LGBTQ work. I'm doing, anti-ICE work, right? All these things, we can't divorce ourselves from reality. So what am I writing? I think I'm writing my reality right now.
Mm. Mm.
Agreed. And I'll just add on top of that that it is perfectly okay to write rage-filled work.
Yeah.
It is totally okay to make that shit plain as plain can be, because not only is that release for
Yeah.
us, but if we share that with folks, it is release for them. And I can't pull up the link because I'm in here, but I have the name of it and the name of the author, Notes on Craft, Writing in the Hour of Genocide by Fargo Tabachi. And it is a beautiful essay on how not to make shit that makes you feel rageful fluffy.
Uh,
Don't
yeah.
craft the rage out of your work, right? And so I'm writing rage rants, and I'm
Mhm.
good. I'm good with that because I'm getting it out. And if then later on I can mine, I will mine. But right now, this is what it is. Protean. Thank you so much, Tamara. And so yeah, that's what I got because Angelique and Marina, you put it out there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find myself writing rage and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you for that resource too, Roberto. This is excellent, y'all. Um, okay. I'm just taking it all in. It's like it's a love fest, but it's also heavy, and I think that's the best medium always in this, right? Just the vulnerability that the three of you are displaying. I really appreciate it. So with the three of you particularly, and you all are your work, and that's what permeates, right? People say that there's that separation from the speaker and the author, and I think in times of struggle and oppression, these these spirits blend even closer. It becomes that reality, as you were saying, Marina. So those questions are not only like, how do you continue writing under oppression while witnessing hate and fascism through a writer's eyes or anything like that, but I'm more interested in hearing about the philosophies and the importance of documentation and adding your voice to American letters. So if you could just kind of give a recapitulation of what you feel like you're adding to American letters right now. What is that purpose for you writing and what you're putting in? What would that be for each of you?
I think for me, it's as a Portuguese American daughter of immigrants, it's very important for me to really change the narrative, right? That I was told as a Portuguese American woman about the history of Portugal, right?
Mm,
And to think about Portuguese Americanness now and its integration into whiteness. So for me, it's really, what am I doing to take accountability for for the colonization that my
mm,
people, right, did. And how do I work to make sure that we're not getting whitewashed versions of history anymore, right? Especially for me. So I think it's important for me to make sure that I am really sort of rewriting the idea of what it means to write Portuguese American poetry, right?
mhm,
As a queer woman,
mhm,
as someone who is, does anti-racist work, anti-fascist work. Yeah, it's really had me thinking a lot about my relationship, right? To
mm.
to 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 everyone, right? To all peoples, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Go for it, Angelique.
No,
You're
you're
muted.
muted.
You're
You're
muted.
muted, yeah. We missed all the dramatic sighs.
All right. Yeah, I know. Good, because that was a long dramatic sigh. Um, it's about like
Mm,
witnessing this moment and making sure that there's an archive of the voices that exist, that don't have the platform to say the things that they want to say, or who history might try to forget.
mm,
Um, Voice is a very important thing to me, coming from my intersections being a Black woman. I think, often we are told we are too loud, that we speak up too much, but we do that for a reason, because there was a time where we could not. Um, and I never want this moment, the world that I live in, um, me to leave this earth without having had an opportunity to speak my piece and speak it for those who didn't get an opportunity to. I
mhm,
feel like it's an inheritance I had, that if someone survived something for me to be here, then it's my job to make it count. Um,
Mhm.
Salman Rushdie has this quote about like a poet's job. I don't know if you all have heard it or remember it, but it's about like being able to name the unnameable, to point out the frauds, to like take sides. Um, I think that's especially important now. I think within this construct of the United States of America, from the moment someone tried to call it a democracy, it's been important for people to call out the frauds and to take sides and to say the things that other folks won't say.
Hmm.
Um, and I just want to make sure that while I'm here, I'm doing that work. And especially for the folks that I know might not have that opportunity to.
Thank you, Angelique.
I think so we are uniquely positioned because we do so much research for the sake of our work. We are trying to learn. We are learning and constantly examining how these systems work and
Hmm.
duplicate themselves. We also have a responsibility to show that to other people. Because once you begin to look at the colonial project and all of its parameters, what you see is that it is just simply self-replicating and
Hmm.
it is adapting and adjusting for technological
Yeah.
advances. So the whole colonial project is just replicating itself and adapting, for technological advancements. And
Right.
once you can spot that the US is operating within its own borders in the same way that it operates in developing nations to
Hmm.
destabilize, stable government, what do they call them? Agencies, right? And courts and legal procedures and etc. It's doing the exact same thing it has done in Central America, it has
Right.
done in
Right.
South America, it has done in Asia, it is doing now here in the United States to its own agencies and to its own citizens. And so our job is we recognize this, we know this, and so we need to be screaming it from the mountaintops, basically,
Hmm. hmm
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
For real.
that is also the big kind of responsibility that we have because most people are, and this is not an indictment or a judgment. Most people are too caught up in their own rat races um, to see that. So I think we're also in the same way that we talked about how we teach members of our communities how to show up for each other.
Right.
We kind of, one of my philosophies is we point the way to people to say, hey, do what you can do,
Hmm.
whatever that might be. Because if we have just tons of people doing what they can do, regardless, for one person it could be something small like leaving some food and water out there like they do in the desert for folks crossing that Rio Grande, right?
Hmm.
Or um, sharing posts about, guess what? You don't have to go to that court date in person. You can go on Zoom.
Right.
Share that as far and wide as you can, right? Because you never know who you might save with that. So
Hmm.
it's like we gotta be able to also tell people this is how you can show up.
Right.
Um, because we all have, different capacities, etc. So
Hmm.
one of my philosophies is that, each one teach one, which
Yeah.
is something that I grew up with. And at the same time, also show people, hey, do what you can. What you can is enough. What you can do
Hmm.
is enough a lot of times.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And again, this is so nourishing. It just goes back to community. And it's not only just the literary community here. We mentioned that there's folks from other spaces in here. And I think, you're surely right, Roberto, and just doing what you can. And as writers with this art form and this gift of writing, the thing is not only showing it to each other, not showing it to our writer communities. How do we turn that into transformative art in other spaces? How do we reach people beyond those that are picking up these poetry books, right? How can we take these essays and these poetry books into communities, right? Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you everyone who has stood around till this time. Marina, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just think it's so right if the queen of the evening gets to end with a poem. Um, if you have one more poem, and please check out Angelique's work, check out Roberto's work. I put those links down in the chat. bunch of brilliant voices with us tonight. And check them out on socials too. They're really kind people. They're amazing people. They're doing dope stuff all the time. So please do that. And Marina, uh, I'll actually take us out, and I'll let you take us out for the evening. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you again to Angelique and to Roberto and to everyone who was here today in community with us. I very much love and thank you all. I'm going to end with a new poem that is an angry poem. So yeah. Pull over, I'm in a fight with God. Here I am praying to a Palestinian virgin. Turns out you are an Old Testament dude, vengeful and apathetic as fuck. I don't get it. The point, the reason, the purpose. I keep buying dresses with flowers on them because I need them close as possible, maybe, because winter is coming, long and dark. Maybe I'm trying to bloom where I'm planted. You have to stay positive, Mine says, but I'm positive this world on fire can't handle more flame, and you don't stick your nose where it belongs, here, Earth, the postcard you placed us and let run into the ground. I'm jealous of the dead. God, you forgive me, but it's true. I get free will and shit, but God, again, you, damn, how much can we suffer on earth before we die to get to heaven? Genocide, rape, depression, flat tires, ice, Ozempic, earthquakes, capitalism, cashew butter, police, transphobia, colonialism, mushroom coffee, Israel, deforestation, red hats. I want to throw myself out this car, lay in the middle of the road and wait for the hawks and crows to peck out my ears and eyes and hands. And please, dear God, still you, my heart. Start with my heart. Kill what hurts most first.
Oof, oof. Good, everyone. Marina Carreira, Dead Things and Where to Put Them. At this point in time, Tamara and Gabe, please let everyone else get off mute. You can all show your faces. Thank you so much for joining us for our 44th CavanKerry Press virtual reading, celebrating the release of Dead Things and Where to Put Them. Blessings to you all. I hope everyone stays safe and nourished. And please come on, say your goodbyes, and have a good night to everyone.
Congrats, Marina. You're
Yay!
go.
Woo!
Yay! Wonderful readings.
You're